hate it when your parents never notice you, but the second you step out the door, they start blowing up your phone. Jeez, Mom, chill. I'm Lara from the US, and what started as an ordinary day turned into an unplanned, life-altering journey to Trinidad. But first, like and subscribe to Confession Diary, because this story might just change your life too. I was born to two geniuses. Super busy, super important, super not available for their own kid.
Mom, can you bake cookies?
Gloria, bake cookies for Lara.
Dad, can you push me on the swing?
Roberto, go play with Lara.
My parents had a team of servants who did literally everything, from cooking to brushing my teeth. They made sure that I won't have to lift a finger since they were never around, so they thought to buy my love.
Can I get a pony? Can I get a massive water park in the backyard? Can I get a walk-in closet bigger than my bedroom?
By age 9, I was a school celebrity. Everyone wanted to be my friend, but the only person who cared about me was Nadia, my best friend who I met on my 10th birthday. One time, I begged my parents for a shopping spree in Japan, and guess what? They did! Best parents ever! Or so I thought. We went to the biggest mall ever, and when I stepped out to show off a new outfit, I froze. Where are my parents? Did they leave me in another country? I sprinted for the exit, but security was faster, and before I knew it, I was dragged into a tiny windowless room of doom. And then they started asking me questions in Japanese. My brain went into full Error 404 mode.
Yoshi, Ryu, Jinkazama.
Like listing random video game characters was gonna help. Spoiler? It didn't. I knew if I ever wanted to see my parents again, I had to act fast. I latched onto the guard's ankles like a desperate toddler and wailed like a banshee.
I wanna go home! Send me back to America!
Tears activated. Drama maxed out. Dignity? Non-existent. Just then the door swung open. A tall man stood by the door, and next to him, a girl in a pinstriped suit and a frickin' fedora. The man gave me one look, tilted his head slightly, and the guard immediately followed him outside. And I was left alone with Mafia Barbie. She squinted at me and spoke in this deep mobster voice.
Why'd you steal the clothes, Ma? You think we'd just let you walk, huh?
Was I being interrogated by a 10-year-old in cosplay? Just then, a tall man stepped in. The man introduced himself as Mr. Hines, the owner of the mall. He was an American who just happened to be there that day. Lucky me. He listened to my sob story, called my hotel, and 20 minutes later, my parents showed up. Lara, we're so sorry.
We got an urgent message regarding a prototype and had to leave in a hurry.
And we totally forgot. Typical. Mr. Hines and my parents let me spend the rest of my Japan trip with Nadia, who was obsessed with dressing up and acting like movie characters. She was a pirate one minute, a secret agent the next. By the time we left Japan, we were inseparable. Back in the US, we hung out every day after school since we didn't go to the same one. Now I'm 16, head cheerleader, prettiest, and still the most popular girl in school, and this amazing party. Too bad Nadia ditched this party for some fancy Caribbean island for 2 whole weeks. Seriously, Mom? Can't I catch a break? I ignored the call and enjoyed the party. A few hours later, when I finally returned home to a wrecked house, I searched everywhere. No parents, no servants, just silence. I called the police, and by the time they showed up, tears were streaming down my face. Guilt was eating me alive. Why didn't I answer Mom's calls? If I had, maybe I'd know where they were right now.
Ma'am, do you have a surveillance camera? We'd like to take a look.
Why didn't I think of that? In Dad's office, I pulled up the security feed. 2 masked men stormed through the house, throwing things around like they were searching for something. And then they dragged my parents out of the house. The footage ended, and my stomach twisted.
We're going to investigate, but for now, do you have any family we can contact for you?
I told the officer my aunt lived in Trinidad. They gave me a few minutes to grab my important stuff, and I went to the station with them. When they contacted her, I got a weird text with some random numbers, which I ignored because honestly, I couldn't deal with anything else. 3 hours later, I was in a police car headed to the airport. My spoiled life? Yeah, that was about to flip. Aunt Michelle met me at the airport and took me to her house in Woodbrook. When she pulled up the driveway, I was shook. Where's the rest of the house? No servants?
This house is big enough for me and my son Brian. No servants, but we'll help you out.
As if on cue, Brian, who looked a few years older than me, stepped out. He helped me carry my luggage to my room. It was so tiny and no bathroom. I want a bigger room complete with a full bath.
This isn't the Hyatt. If you want more room, sleep in the yard. Brian!
He shot me a death glare and stormed off.
No bigger room, sweetie. Bathroom's down the hall. Let's get you settled and grab you something to eat before bed.
After a quick shower and some sandwiches, I crashed into bed and barely slept. God, I felt so out of place. Over the next few days, I locked myself in my room, worried about my parents and missing home. Aunt Michelle warned me to get rid of my phone in case it was tracked, but I didn't. I just kept it off. But one night, I couldn't stand the emptiness anymore. I dialed Nadia and told her everything.
Don't worry, Lara. The police will find them.
Have you thought about why someone would take your parents, though? I don't know. What I do know is I need to find them. I need to go home. Nadia distracted me with stories about her amazing trip until her mom called her away and she was gone. I had never felt so alone in my life and cried myself to sleep. Suddenly, at midnight, a noise jolted me awake. Voices, a crash. I rushed out and Brian did too. Aunt Michelle was fighting off two men with some amazing karate moves when she saw us.
Get out of here now!
Brian yanked my arm and we took off running. Down the street, then another, until my feet refused to move. What the? Suddenly, I stumbled into a street bursting with music, packed with people dancing and drenched in paint, oil, and mud. Brian, is this some kind of ritual? And for the first time since I got here, Brian actually laughed.
This is Juve, a pre-dawn party with paint, mud, oil, and powder before the main carnival event, where colorful costumes are paraded along the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, which, by the way, is the greatest show on Earth.
A man painted completely blue with horns walked right up to us and blew fire from his mouth. Ah! Brian glanced back, and the men were staring right at us.
We've got to go.
We wove through the crowd until someone called Brian's name. The guy looked like he'd swam through a swamp covered in mud from head to toe. Brian didn't hesitate. We made our way to him.
Where's the mud? Cover us.
What? That is not going in my hair.
Oh, would you prefer black oil?
I gasped.
That's what I thought.
Brian's friends slapped mud all over us, and my soul left my body. When I get home, I'm breaking the Guinness World Record for the longest shower ever. Once done, we began to move with the crowd. Brian squeezed my wrist. Ow! Brian, what the? That's when I saw them. The guys following us. And they were looking right at me. Crap!
Dance!
What?
You're the only one not dancing. They'll know it's you.
I sucked in a breath and moved, stiff, awkward, probably resembling a malfunctioning robot.
It's working. Keep going.
After a few moments, I heard Brian speak to his friend.
You got that? Yup.
I froze. Got what? Then I saw it. The phone. My jaw dropped. Have you been recording me?
Well, think of it as memories from your first Juve.
I groaned. Brian grinned.
Listen up. We'll stay for the band for a bit, then go find Mom.
For the next hour, Brian and I stuck with his friends, and it was super fun. When we finally waved goodbye to his friends, three figures covered in mud approached us. Brian tensed. Oh, not again. We were about to run when one of them yelled, "Lara?" I froze. Nadia? She ran up and hugged me, smearing even more mud on me, but honestly, I didn't even care. The next few minutes were a blur as I spilled everything to Nadia and her parents while Brian called Aunt Michelle. She pulled up fast, barely parking before jumping out. Nadia's parents offered their guest house as a hideout, so we had a safe spot, for now. That night, I curled up on my bed, wondering if life would ever be normal again, when Brian knocked once before stepping in.
How are you holding up?
1 minute I was ignoring Mom's calls. Now I'd do anything to hear her voice. Brian pulled me into a warm hug. I've never been close to my parents, but I can't lose them, Brian. I just can't.
You won't.
He pulled away and looked into my eyes.
I am sure they're doing everything possible to be able to see you again.
My phone buzzed. Same weird numbers. I frowned.
What's wrong?
I handed him the phone. I keep getting these messages. His expression darkened and he scrolled through my phone.
Since when?
The day my parents disappeared. Suddenly, he bolted out of the room without another word. Brian? I scrambled after him, heart racing, and he instantly barged into Aunt Michelle's room. She didn't even look up from her laptop.
What's up? I think Lara's been getting coded messages from her parents.
Brian handed it over. We watched in silence as she tapped away on her laptop. Auntie, can you break the code? She chuckled.
Girl, I ran rings around your father in school. You thought he was the only brain in the family?
A few more taps, then a sharp gasp escaped her lips. I stiffened. Is it bad? Are they hurt? She turned to me.
They've been at the house this whole time, in the lab.
What?
Lara, I can't believe you didn't figure it out.
What do you mean?
You pretend you're not smart enough to fit in, but I've seen those science magazines stashed at the back of your closet.
Everyone looked at me and I could feel my face turning red. My deepest, nerdiest secret was out. I loved science. But that doesn't mean I'll automatically know it was a code. No, but if I had studied it long enough, maybe I would have figured it out. Aunt Michelle cleared her throat.
So, here's the plan. Brian, you'll take Lara home. I'll be covering you from my laptop. The security cameras at home caught the men's images. I'll make sure they're detained at the airport so they can't follow you. I'll also go with them.
I hadn't expected Mr. Hines to step up, but I was thankful that he did.
Great, but don't make it look like you know each other. If things go wrong, you're their backup plan.
I swallowed hard. Oh, this was getting way too real. How do we get into the lab? I don't know the code.
They've already sent it. I've sent it to Brian. Both of you memorize it. I've booked your tickets, flights at 6 this evening. Your disguises will be ready in a few hours.
I took a shaky breath. We were going home and straight into danger. At 4 a.m., Brian and I crept to the backdoor house like cat burglars, earpieces in, Aunt Michelle whispering in our ears.
I've disabled the alarm. Police are on the way. Mr. Hines is on the lookout. The coast is clear. Good luck.
The line went dead. I fumbled for the key in the flower pot, hard pounding. The door clicked open, and we slipped inside and moved quickly toward the lab. Brian punched in the code. The lab door hissed open, and there they were, my parents. They were safe. A strangled sob tore from my lips as I stumbled forward, my vision blurring with tears as I ran over to them and threw my arms around them. Mom, Dad,
Lara!
I thought I'd lost you. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I could breathe again. What happened? How come you're here?
6 months ago, a private security agency asked us to build a weaponized AI to protect their elite clients, and we refused. They didn't take no for an answer. When we learned they planned to kidnap us, we sent the staff away, staged our own disappearance, and sent you the codes to find us.
But I don't know code.
We knew you'd go to Michelle and she'd put you back into the country under the radar.
And what if that didn't happen?
We had to take the chance, sweetheart.
We're just glad things worked out. So what now? We disappear, lay low. It'll be tough without the staff. I swallowed hard. I couldn't stay the way I was. My parents needed me more than ever. I wanted to be more. No more pretending. I'm sorry I've been such a spoiled brat all these years. It's time I started pulling my weight.
Honey, we're so sorry we put you through this.
A screen flashed in the lab.
The police are here. We need to move, fast.
I threw my arms around Brian, holding on tight, wishing I had more time to get to know the cousin who put our differences aside to keep me safe. Thank you for everything, for having my back. Tell Aunt Michelle and Mr. Hines thank you. Let Nadia know I'll call her. I pulled away, blinking away the tears that threatened to run down my face.
I knew you were a nerd the moment I saw those whack dance moves of yours.
I punched his arms playfully and sniffed. His voice softened.
Good luck. I'll miss you.
I'll miss you too. Dad broke our moment, sadness in his eyes.
Brian, we've got to tie you up. Tell the police you didn't find us and they took Lara about 10 minutes ago. We'll leave the door open so they'll get to you. Go right ahead.
After they secured him, Dad opened a secret tunnel in the far corner of the lab. I cast one last glance Brian's way as I stood at the entrance. He winked before pretending to be unconscious. Then I slipped into the tunnel with my parents. I had no idea what lay ahead, but one thing was for certain, we'd face it together.